Hello and welcome to another edition of Split Decision Boxing. I'm just going to talk about Saturday's fight. So obviously Sunday's fight actually wasn't Saturday, was it? Sunday's fight, if you can call it that, between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. Now, if any of you saw my last video, you'll know that I predicted a Tommy Fury win. So another chalk mark, another one correct there for me. I didn't quite get it right. I said it would probably be later stages of the fight. It'd probably be round 6 or 7 and a stoppage. However, it wasn't. It was. It went the distance, and it was a split decision. It was a split decision by the three judges. Now, if any of you saw that fight, you will know, if you're honest, pure boxing fans, you will know that never in a million years was that a split decision fight. Never was it that close. I know Jake Paul went on to say afterwards that he felt the decision was wrong and that he should have got the decision because he had two 10-8 rounds. Well, he had two 10-8 rounds. One was for some kind of illegal blow or something from Tommy Fury. But let's not also forget that Tommy Fury had a 10-8 round for use of head, I think it was, from Jake Paul. So that pretty much evened that one out. The second 10-8 round that Jake Paul had was. It was for a knockdown. It was deemed as a knockdown, and it was a knockdown. If you look at the footage and look at the fight, it was a bona fide, a very short left, straight through the middle, and very briefly, it totally caught Fury by surprise, and he very briefly went down. And when he got back up, he looked a bit not dazed. He wasn't dazed. He wasn't by any means dazed, but he looked a bit bemused and shocked, and he sort of looked towards his corners as to say, how the fuck did that happen? But it did, and that's the beauty of the game, isn't it? That's the beauty of boxing. That's the beauty of this sport. As I've said before, one punch. There's no such thing as a nailed on certainty winner in any fight, whether it's at flyweight, featherweight, super middleweight, or heavyweight. There's no such thing, because, and particularly at the heavier weights, because obviously they carry more power. So one punch can turn a fight. You can be winning a fight, a championship fight. You could be 12 rounds up. You could have 12 10-8 rounds. A knockdown in every round if a three knockdown rule is not in place. You could have a knockdown in every round. So potentially you could go into round 12 with virtually nothing to do. All you got to do is avoid getting caught, and there, my friends, in lies the problem. Avoid getting caught, as Tommy Fury found out to his cost, almost to his cost on Sunday night, because one hit flush on the jaw, on the temple, side of the head, couldn't be a game changer. We've seen it so many times, haven't we? We've seen fighters. I can take you back to, I can't remember the year, 1980, I'm guessing 81, 82, maybe a bit later. I can take you, yeah, it is a bit later. I can take you back to, it's a lot later. I can take you back to Frank Bruno fighting, well, let's take, you can take your pick of fights actually, where he was way out in front and then got caught and melted, and was destroyed. James Bone Crusher Smith was the first one that I remember. A fight that he should have won comfortably, and he was winning comfortably, but he got I think it was a right hook to the jaw, and his arms fell down like a pair of tree trunks, and Bone Crusher just unloaded on him and put him away. Similar thing against our wonderful world champion, one of the greatest heavyweight world champions I believe there's ever been, Lennox Lewis. Equally, when he fought Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, he was ahead. He was ahead on points until Lewis caught him, and then it was game over. So that's my point. It could quite easily have changed everything. Now here's what I'm trying to get at. It was a bit of an embarrassing fight, I thought. You had Paul throwing wild haymakers overhand, similar to actually what I'll tell you who does that. Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte does that, but he does it with a bit more power. But I always think this just looks like desperation. It looks like someone who's not a fighter, who's not a boxer. They're in there to survive. One of my friends actually put on Facebook the following morning. It was like a playground fight. It was like it was like a kid in the playground swinging wildly and hoping to connect with one. Now, the one thing you can say about Jake Paul is he did prove one thing: he's resilient, right? He took a lot of punishment in there from Tommy Fury. He took a lot of heavy hits on the chin and on the head. Didn't go down, didn't look like going down. He looked a bit wobbly a couple of times, but he did never at one point look like going down. And that has to be to his credit. However, that's not what, that doesn't make you a great boxer. Just, you're born with that. You can either take a punch or you can't. You can't train how to take a punch to the head. The body you can, because obviously they do the medicine ball and toughen up all your your muscles around your abdomen and under your heart and your rib cage and whatever, so you get used to it. And similarly with your face, taking shots, if the likes of you or the likes of me, who's not a boxer, and especially not at my age, I'm pushing 60. If somebody punched me in the eye or punched me, on the nose, as they have done many times over the years, but particularly at my age now, I would bruise. You would swell and bruise. But boxers, they take so many that I believe all the nerve endings and that must die in the face, because the punishment they take around their face with no head guards on or anything like that, yet they don't really. You very rarely see them with a black eye. They might get a little bit of bruising. They get swellings, of course, but swellings are normally caused by bone-to-bone contact. They're normally caused by a clash of heads or someone going in with the head and bang into the eye socket or above the eye, and that's when it will come up. From punching, you very rarely see fighters get big swellings, big eggs all around their face, and same with the nose. If somebody punched me on the nose right now, it would bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed profusely, as most people's would. If you're at a pub or whatever, you're in a bar and you get into a brawl and someone's banging and they stick one on you straight on your chin, on your nose, should I say. Usually there's claret everywhere, correct? Boxers don't. They have a little bit trickling down. Up goes the coagulant, away they go. So what I'm trying to say is the actual knockout points, the actual ability to take a punch. I mean, that's superficial. That's your body, yeah? The ability to take a punch, your brain, the connection between your brain and the various knockout points, if you like. You can't train that. You can't go in the ring and say, I've got a weak jaw. Every time I get hit on the jaw, I get knocked out. So I want you to keep punching me on the jaw until my brain says I'm not going to get knocked out anymore, because that just wouldn't happen. Every time you got punched on the jaw, you'd get knocked out. That's how it is, right? So Logan Paul proved beyond doubt, Jake Paul proved beyond doubt that he has a very resilient chin. And but he was fit enough. He took some body shots as well, and etc. etc. So I'll give him credit for that. But his actual fighting style, he ain't a fighter. He ain't a boxer, not in a million years. As long as my own mother used to say, as long as I've got a hole in my arse, he'll never be a boxer, right? Ever. So that's what I moan about these YouTubers jumping on the bandwagon to make their money. But here's where I'm getting to now. We're going to forget Jake Paul and where he goes from here, because we know where he goes from here. He'll do it again. He'll probably fight KSI. You know, he'll probably do some kind of exhibition fight with what is fast becoming a joke to the sport as well. Floyd Mayweather. I also have a lot of respect for him. Completely losing it now. You know, you might even see him having some kind of charity fight with Mike Tyson. And, you know, God forbid if Mike Tyson decided to use all the tools in his box. But he wouldn't, because it would be for charity. It would be an exhibition for probably, you know, for charity or something, or just to give them both a few extra millions in their pockets. But what about Tommy Fury? Now, I said in my last video that the winner of this gets into the top 40 rankings. Looking at that fight on Sunday night, does Tommy Fury now warrant a top 40 ranking with the WBC, WBA, IBF, whoever it is, does the Ring magazine? Does he warrant any kind of ranking? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Let's take a few facts. He was in the ring with a YouTuber. He was in the ring with, okay, Paul is a professional fighter because he's got a boxing license, but he's not a professional fighter, right? He wasn't in the ring with someone who's learnt his craft and learnt to bob and weave and jab and hook and duck and footwork and, you know, use the backhand and everything else. He wasn't in the ring with a craftsman, and that's the difference between Jake Paul and Logan Paul and KSI and whoever else comes through, and I'm sure there'll be others now. You're not craftsmen, and boxing is a craft. You're not craftsmen. You haven't learnt your craft. You've made a few million. You've got hundreds of millions of followers around the world on YouTube, and hats off to you. I have no criticism of you for doing that. Carry on doing it. And in fact, I take my hat off to you. If you can make, you know, and I know that's not even easy, is it? It's not, you have to work at that. So I appreciate that. What I don't appreciate is that you then think you've got a God-given right, because of your fame, you've got a God-given right to walk into a boxing ring and declare yourself a professional boxer ready to take on the world when you're not. So back to Tommy Fury. Where does he go now? I don't think he did himself any justice on Sunday night, even though he won. Even though he won. And he won comfortably, in my opinion, every round. Except for possibly the 10-8 rounds. But he didn't win in the style that I believe was needed to show the boxing fraternity, the real true followers of the sport, that he is ready to take up the mantle of a credible, professional boxer, and ready to rise up and do his work and, you know, improve his craftsmanship through the ranks until he reaches a point where he may or may not get a shot at a world title. What he actually did was prove to the world, which I think a lot of people possibly knew, is that he comes from a fighting family. Yeah, he's got a few boxing skills, certainly a lot more boxing skills than Jake Paul, but not enough to elevate him to the level he wants to be. He's like, you know, he comes from a fighting family and he's got the heart, and He does have, he has got boxing skills, and maybe with a different camp and a proper, I'm not going to say a proper trainer because that's an insult into to the camp that he had, but maybe with a different camp, because this was more of a circus, wasn't it? All this, I think maybe if he was to move away from here now and say, I don't want the monkey on my back of being a Fury. Number one, I don't think he wants that. I don't think he needs that. It's good, yeah, of course, it's nice to know you come from that pedigree, but it's also a chain around your neck, isn't it? Right? Because everyone's going to compare you every day of your life, every fight, every time you step through that ring, they're going to compare you with Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury. And that's not right, because you need to be Tommy, you need to be a fighter in your own right, and you need to do what's right for you. And if I had your ear, if I was your advisor, do you know what I'd be saying to you? You've got to break away. You've got to break away from Tyson and his dad and the camp and everything all around him, and this media circus that's all around him. You've also got to forget this. Try and forget this. I don't know why. At the end of that fight, he's carrying a belt, which it's not a credible belt. Throw that one away. Do you know what I mean? He's carrying a belt and he's getting all emotional, and I understand his emotions, that this has been on and off for 2 years, and he felt he had a point to prove, and if he hadn't have won on Sunday night, then his career would have been finished. Well, arguably his career is finished. Anyway, so if you're really serious, I think you've got to completely. You're going to get off. I think Tommy Fury is going to get offers now, but he's not going to get the offers he wants. He's going to get offers to fight other YouTubers. Perhaps fight Logan, KSI. And fine, if that's what you want to do and you want to make your money that way, because I'm sure it pays a very, very healthy fee with not too much risk as well, probably, then you have to accept the criticism that you will get from it. And the criticism that you will get from it will be that the people like me, the people that love the sport, absolutely adore the art of boxing and the sport and what it represents. It's got a lot of bad things about it. We know that. There's a lot of corruption involved behind the scenes, stuff that we will never even read about or hear about. Probably from the day the first man laced up a glove, that's probably the way it's been. However, to the people like me and that really love the sport, and they love to see the art of the self-defense, it's not all about knocking people out, is it? I can watch a fight where no one gets knocked out or knocked down, but if it's two fighters putting on a fantastic show and showing the skills of pugilism and using all the arts and the craft involved of pugilism, slipping shots, moving around, ducking, weaving, bobbing, point scoring, and with not heavy shots, but just shots that little jabs and. I'd watch that all day long, because that's the art. That's the art of the sport. Of course, as fight fans, we want to see a spectacular knockouts as well. Of course, we do, because that's the excitement factor. Two men, two warriors standing face to face each other, stripped down to the waist, with nothing but leather gloves on, and bandaged hands, and a gum shield, and no one to help you. It's up to you now. Of course we want to see that. That's what makes the sport exciting. What I'm saying is, for Tommy Fury, if he decides to go down that route of fighting no-hope YouTubers, then expect to get criticised for fighting no-hope YouTubers. And you will fast become a joke yourself in the eyes of people like me. I don't mean that. I don't mean to insult you with that, but Equally, if that's your level, if deep in your heart, Tommy Fury, you realise that on Sunday night that was your level, you was never going to put him down, you was never going to knock him out, and he's only a YouTuber, then hats off to you. Accept it, go with it, and make your money that way. But don't be expected to be recognised as a credible fighter, because it ain't going to happen. Now, if you want to be recognised as a credible fighter, this is my advice to you. As I said earlier, move away from everything to do with the Fury family in terms of the sport of boxing. I'm not saying disown your family. They're your family and you love them forever, right? But in terms of the sport of boxing, I would say move away from the Tyson family and the camp and everything that surrounds them. Find yourself a reputable trainer, padmen, coaches, physicians, physiotherapists, everything you need. And promoter, by the way. And I don't think Frank Warren is the man for you. Frank Warren's the man for that in his pocket. As are most promoters. I just think Eddie Hearn would probably be a better promoter for you. He would probably find you, he would manage to pick, he's got more clout, I think, and he would manage to pick you the fights that you would need to slowly improve and raise through the ranks and get until you reach that point where people now start considering you a viable contender for a world title shot. And concentrate on what you want to do, you know? Surround yourself with the right people, the right training. Don't, you know, you're a pretty boy. I don't mean that on arsely either. You're a pretty boy model look, you know, the physique, the good look, the slick back hair. We know you're a Love Island reality TV star as well as being a boxer. Make your mind up, mate. What do you want to be? Do you want to be a reality TV star with hundreds of millions of adoring female fans that want to, you know, get to know you and follow you on Instagram and Twitter and all the other social media accounts? Or do you want to be a low-level circus fighter fighting other YouTubers at the same time as being a social media reality TV star? Or are you serious about becoming a world champion boxer, or at least a credible fighter? Because if you are serious about that, all that other stuff, get it out your head, get it out your mind. Focus yourself. Focus yourself. When you wake up tomorrow morning, Tommy Fury, ask yourself this one question. What am I? What am I? And when you can answer that question, you will know the route you need to take. That's it, folks. That's all from me. A little bit of a strange one for me this time, but I felt I wanted to get this off my mind. I hope you really enjoy this one. I'd love your comments as normal. Please give it the thumbs up. Bing! Please like it. Please share it. And please subscribe if you enjoyed this. I love doing these videos. I love talking about the sport that I love and that you must love. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video either. So, yeah, guys, that's me. British fight fan, but ultimately fight fan of boxing from whatever country it comes from. I'll always support it, always have done, always will. So I'm out of here, guys. This is Split Decision Boxing. Keep fighting.